Think about what you did this morning. Not the coffee, not the news, before all of that. Think about the very first 60 seconds after your alarm went off or your eyes opened on their own. You were lying in bed, stiff as a board, and your lower back was aching the way it always does after a full night of sleep. So you did what you have done every single morning for the last 10, 20, maybe 30 years. You sat up on the edge of the bed, planted your feet on the cold floor, and you reached down toward your toes. You rounded your spine forward, dropped your head, and pulled yourself into that deep forward fold. Because somewhere along the way, someone told you that stretching first thing in the morning loosens everything up. Maybe you held it for 10 seconds, maybe 30. Maybe you bounced a little at the bottom to try to push deeper. And when you came back up, your back felt a tiny bit looser, so you assumed it worked. Then maybe you stood up and pulled your heel toward your backside to stretch your thigh. Or you twisted your upper body to one side and then the other, cranking your spine like a wrench until you heard that satisfying series of pops and cracks. And you walked into the kitchen feeling like you had done something good for yourself. I need you to hear me clearly right now. If you are over 60 years old and you performed any of those 3 stretches this morning, you may have just done more damage to your spine, your hip joints, and your knee cartilage than if you had done absolutely nothing at all. And the worst part is that you have probably been doing this every single morning for decades, which means the cumulative damage is not something that happened today. It has been building quietly, and it is accelerating every year. I am a surgeon. I've spent my career studying the way the human body breaks down with age, and more importantly, the way we unknowingly speed up that breakdown with habits we believe are healthy. What I am about to share with you today is going to challenge everything you think you know about morning stretching. I am going to identify the 3 specific stretches that are silently destroying your joints and discs after age 60. I am going to explain the precise medical reasons why your body can no longer tolerate them, and then I am going to hand you a safe morning mobility routine that actually works with your aging physiology instead of against it. But first, you need to understand what is actually happening inside your body during those first minutes after you wake up, because this is the detail that changes everything. When you sleep, your body enters a prolonged state of near total immobility. For 6, 7, maybe 8 hours, your joints are essentially parked. During that time, something critical happens to the synovial fluid inside your joints. Synovial fluid is the slippery, viscous liquid that coats the surfaces of your cartilage and allows your bones to glide against each other without friction. Think of it as the oil inside a precision machine. When that machine is running, the oil flows freely and coats every surface. But when the machine sits idle for hours, the oil settles, thickens, and partially absorbs into the surrounding cartilage. This is exactly what happens inside your knees, hips, and the small facet joints of your spine every single night. By the time you wake up, your joints are running on almost no lubrication. The cartilage surfaces are essentially dry, and here is the part that matters most. When you are 25 or 30 years old, your body can regenerate and redistribute that synovial fluid in a matter of minutes with gentle movement. But after 60, your body produces significantly less synovial fluid overall, and the fluid it does produce is thinner and less viscous than it was in your younger years. The hyaluronic acid concentration in your synovial fluid declines measurably with each passing decade. This means your joints take longer to warm up, they are more vulnerable to friction damage during those first minutes, and any aggressive force applied to a cold, dry joint surface can literally scrape and shear the cartilage fibers right off the bone. There is another critical change happening simultaneously. Your intervertebral discs, the soft, gel-filled cushions between each bone and your spine, actually absorb water overnight while you sleep. This is why you are measurably taller in the morning than you are at night. Studies have documented height differences of up to 2 centimeters between morning and evening measurements. That extra fluid makes the discs plumper, but also significantly more pressurized. They are swollen and taut, like a water balloon filled just past the point of comfort. In this state, The discs are far more susceptible to herniation and bulging when subjected to flexion forces, which is exactly the type of force you apply when you bend forward to touch your toes. Now layer on one more reality. After age 60, the collagen fibers in your tendons, ligaments, and muscle fascia undergo a process called cross-linking. The fibers become stiffer and less elastic, not because you have not stretched enough, but because of fundamental biochemical changes in the collagen itself. Aggressive stretching does not reverse this stiffness. It simply forces the tissue past its safe range of motion, creating micro tears and fibers that now heal much more slowly than they did 30 years ago. What feels like a good stretch is often your body's tissue being pulled to the point of damage, while your brain misinterprets the sensation as relief. So with all of that in mind, let me walk you through the 3 morning stretches that are causing the most harm. Dangerous stretch number 1. The standing or seated forward fold to touch your toes. This is the most universal stretch in the world. Almost every adult over 60 does some version of it every morning. You sit on the edge of the bed or stand in the middle of your bedroom, and you reach down toward your toes, rounding your entire spine into a deep C shape. You feel the pull in your hamstrings and your lower back, and you assume you are loosening up tight muscles. Here is what is actually happening inside your body. When you round your spine forward in full flexion, especially first thing in the morning when your discs are maximally hydrated and pressurized, you are dramatically increasing the compressive force on the front side of each disc while simultaneously stretching the posterior fibers of the disc wall, which is the thinnest and weakest part of the structure. Research published in spine biomechanics journals has measured intradiscal pressure increases of over 300% during loaded forward flexion compared to simply standing upright. Now remember that your discs are already swollen with absorbed fluid from the night. They are at peak internal pressure, and you are folding your spine forward and driving that pressure directly into the weakest wall of the disc. This is the exact mechanism that produces disc bulges and herniations. Not a single catastrophic event, but repeated micro-injuries morning after morning, year after year, until one day you bend forward to pick up a shoe and your back seizes so violently you cannot stand up. That was not caused by the shoe. That was the final millimeter of damage added to decades of accumulated morning flexion forces on a disc that had been slowly failing. And here is an additional concern specific to older adults. Many people over 60 have some degree of spinal stenosis, which is a narrowing of the spinal canal where the nerve roots travel. When you flex your spine forward, the canal can momentarily open slightly, which feels like relief. But the rebound effect when you come back to an upright position can cause the already narrowed canal to pinch those nerves even harder than before. That shooting pain or tingling that runs down your leg after you straighten up from a forward fold is not your muscles waking up. That is a nerve being compressed, and each time it happens, the inflammation around that nerve increases. Dangerous stretch number 2. The standing quadriceps stretch where you pull your heel toward your backside. This is the classic stretch where you stand on one leg, grab your ankle behind you, and pull your heel up toward your glutes. You probably remember doing this before gym class in high school, and it seems completely harmless. For a teenager with healthy cartilage and flexible tendons, it largely is. For an adult over 60, it is a completely different mechanical event. When you pull your heel toward your backside, you are placing your knee joint into extreme flexion, often past 130 or 140 degrees. In this position, the contact pressure between your kneecap and the femoral groove beneath it skyrockets. Studies using pressure-sensitive sensors inside cadaveric knee joints have shown that patellofemoral contact forces increase exponentially as the knee moves past 90 degrees of flexion. By 130 degrees, the force on the underside of the kneecap can reach 6 to 8 times your body weight. If you are over 60, there is a very high probability that the cartilage on the underside of your kneecap has already begun to soften and fray. This condition, called chondromalacia or patellofemoral syndrome, is present to some degree in the vast majority of older adults, even those who have no knee pain. When you apply 6 to 8 times your body weight to already compromised cartilage first thing in the morning when your synovial fluid has not yet been distributed across the joint surfaces, you are grinding damaged cartilage against bone with almost no lubrication. Each repetition accelerates the erosion. There is also a significant balance risk. You are standing on one leg in a cold body with stiff ankles and impaired proprioception while pulling on your opposite foot. If your standing ankle rolls even slightly, you have no free hand to catch yourself because one hand is holding your foot behind you. This stretch is one of the most common causes of bathroom and bedroom falls in older adults, and most people never connect the fall to the stretch because the fall happens so fast. Now, before I reveal the third and most destructive stretch, I want to pause here for a moment. If you have made it this far, you take your health and independence seriously. This channel, Liberty Aging, is built specifically for people like you. My goal is to give you the real medical truth about aging, not the reckless fitness content made by 25-year-olds who have no idea what a 60-year-old joint looks like on an MRI. If you want honest, surgeon-level guidance that protects your body, hit the subscribe button right now. Now, let us look at the stretch that is likely causing your lower back spasms. Now let us talk about the third and most destructive stretch. Dangerous stretch number 3. The seated or standing spinal twist. You know this one intimately. You sit on the edge of the bed or stand in the kitchen and you rotate your upper body as far as it will go to one side, often using your hands to pull yourself further into the twist. Then you do the other side, and the pops and cracks you hear feel like your spine is releasing tension and realigning itself. Let me tell you what those sounds actually are. The popping you hear is caused by gas bubbles forming and collapsing inside the synovial fluid of your facet joints. It is a phenomenon called tribonucleation. It is not your spine releasing anything. It is not a realignment. It is simply a pressure change in the joint fluid. And while the sound itself is largely harmless, the rotational force you are applying to achieve it is anything but harmless. Your lumbar spine, the lower back region that most people are aggressively twisting, is architecturally designed for flexion and extension, meaning bending forward and backward. It is specifically not designed for large amounts of rotation. The facet joints in your lumbar spine are oriented in a way that permits only about 2 to 3 degrees of rotation per segment. When you crank your torso into a full twist, you are forcing those facet joints past their anatomical limit, compressing them together on one side and gapping them open on the other. In a young, well-hydrated spine with thick cartilage, this might be tolerated. In a spine over 60 years old with thinning cartilage, narrowed disc spaces, and potential bone spurs on the facet joints, this forced rotation can cause facet joint impingement, capsular sprains, and direct irritation of the nerve roots that exit between the vertebrae. And here is the hidden danger. Your thoracic spine, the mid-back region, is the section that is actually designed for rotation. It has about 35 to 50 degrees of rotational capacity. But because most adults over 60 have significant thoracic stiffness from decades of sitting and forward posture, the thoracic spine is locked up. So when you attempt to twist, your body compensates by forcing almost all of the rotational demand into the lumbar spine, the exact area least equipped to handle it. You feel like you are twisting your whole back. In reality, you are wrenching your lower back while your mid-back barely moves. This is the mechanism behind countless cases of facet joint syndrome and acute low back spasms in older adults. And it happens most often in the morning when the joints are stiff, dry, and maximally vulnerable. So if you cannot do these 3 stretches, what should you do when you wake up stiff and aching? The answer is a gentle, joint-friendly mobility routine that respects the current state of your body in those critical first minutes of the day. This routine can be done sitting on the edge of your bed or in a sturdy chair. It requires no equipment. It takes about 8 to 10 minutes. And it works by slowly and safely encouraging synovial fluid to redistribute across your joint surfaces before you place any significant demand on your body. Movement number 1, the seated ankle circle and pump. Before you even stand up, sit on the edge of your bed with your feet hovering just above the floor. Slowly circle your right ankle 10 times in each direction, making the largest circles you comfortably can. Then point your toes down toward the floor and pull them back up toward your shin 10 times in a smooth pumping motion. Repeat with your left ankle. This movement serves two purposes. It begins circulating synovial fluid through your ankle joints, and it activates the calf muscles that pump blood up from your lower legs, reducing the dizziness and lightheadedness that many older adults experience when they first stand up in the morning. This happens because blood pools in the lower extremities overnight, and your calf muscles act as a secondary pump to push that blood back toward the heart and brain. Movement number 2, the seated knee extension with pause. Remain seated on the edge of the bed. Slowly straighten your right leg out in front of you until your knee is fully extended. Hold for 3 seconds at the top, gently squeezing the muscles above your kneecap. Then slowly lower your foot back to the floor over a count of 4. Perform 8 repetitions on each leg. This movement gently bathes the cartilage surfaces inside your knee with synovial fluid by moving the joint through a safe, controlled range of motion without any of the extreme flexion that the heel to backside stretch demands. The slow, controlled movement also sends a gentle wake-up signal through your nervous system, gradually activating the quadriceps muscles that protect and stabilize your knee throughout the day. Movement number 3, the seated pelvic tilt. This replaces the forward fold entirely. Sit tall on the edge of the bed with your hands resting on your thighs. Without rounding your upper back at all, gently tilt your pelvis forward so your lower back arches slightly. Then slowly tilt your pelvis backward so your lower back flattens. Rock back and forth between these two positions in a smooth, rhythmic motion. Each tilt should take about 2 to 3 seconds. Perform 15 to 20 repetitions. This movement mobilizes your lumbar spine through a tiny, safe range of motion, encouraging fluid exchange in the discs without any of the dangerous compressive forces created by a full forward fold. It also gently activates your deep core stabilizing muscles, specifically the transversus abdominis and the multifidus, which act as a natural brace for your spine throughout the day. Movement number 4, the seated thoracic rotation. This replaces the aggressive full spine twist. Sit tall on the edge of the bed and cross your arms over your chest so each hand rests on the opposite shoulder. Without moving your hips or your lower back at all, slowly rotate your upper body to the right. Only rotate as far as you can go without any strain or forcing. Hold for 2 seconds, then slowly return to center and rotate to the left. Perform just 5 slow, controlled sweeps to each side. By anchoring your pelvis and keeping your arms across your chest, you isolate the rotation to your thoracic spine where it belongs, completely removing the dangerous lumbar torque that the traditional standing twist creates. Over time, this movement will gradually restore thoracic mobility, which in turn reduces compensatory strain on your lower back during all of your daily activities. Movement number 5, the seated hip circle. Sit tall and lift your right knee slightly, about 2 to 3 inches. Slowly draw a small circle with your knee, letting the movement come from your hip joint. Perform 10 circles in each direction, then switch legs. This movement gently distributes synovial fluid across the cartilage surfaces of your hip socket without placing your hip in any extreme position. For anyone with hip arthritis or tightness, this is one of the most soothing and productive movements you can perform first thing in the morning. Keep the circles small and smooth. There is no benefit to making them larger if it causes pinching or discomfort. After completing all 5 movements, stand up slowly, place one hand on a wall or nightstand for support, and just stand still for 10 to 15 seconds before you walk to the bathroom. This vital pause allows your body to calibrate its balance system and ensures your blood pressure has stabilized in the upright position. Now here is a piece of nutritional advice that directly relates to everything you just learned. Remember the synovial fluid that your joints desperately need in the morning? Your body manufactures that fluid using water and specific building blocks, particularly hyaluronic acid and omega-3 fatty acids. Chronic dehydration, which affects the majority of adults over 60 because the thirst mechanism weakens significantly with age, directly reduces the volume and quality of your synovial fluid. You can be significantly dehydrated and feel absolutely no thirst. This means your joints are running dry and you have no warning signal telling you to drink. Make it a non-negotiable habit to drink a full glass of water within 5 minutes of waking up, before you perform this mobility routine, and before you drink your coffee. Coffee is a mild diuretic, meaning it encourages your kidneys to excrete water. If the first fluid you consume each morning is coffee on an already dehydrated body, you are driving your hydration levels even lower during the exact window when your joints need moisture the most. Water first, coffee second. This single change can make your joints feel noticeably more comfortable within the first week. Additionally, consider adding simple sources of omega-3 fatty acids to your morning routine. Sprinkle some ground flaxseed, chia seeds, or crushed walnuts into your morning oatmeal or yogurt. These contain the specific types of omega-3 fats that have been shown in clinical research to reduce inflammatory markers inside joint tissue. Inflammation is one of the primary drivers of morning stiffness, and addressing it nutritionally is one of the most powerful things you can do alongside your mobility routine. Here's what I want you to do starting tomorrow morning. Instead of reaching for your toes, pulling your heel behind you, or twisting your spine, sit on the edge of your bed and perform the 5 movements I just taught you. Do them slowly, do them mindfully. Pay attention to how each joint feels as the fluid begins to move. Within 3 to 5 days, you will notice that your morning stiffness resolves faster and with less discomfort than it did with your old stretching routine. Within 2 weeks, you will notice that you are moving more fluidly during the first hour of your day. And within a month, you will wonder why no one ever told you this before. In my next video, I am going to reveal the 4 specific movements that are secretly accelerating arthritis in your hips, and I am going to show you exactly what to do instead. That video could save you from a hip replacement you do not need. Make sure you do not miss it. Save this video and send it to someone you care about who is over 60 and still doing these stretches every morning. That simple act could spare them years of unnecessary joint damage. Thank you for being here. Tomorrow morning, protect your spine. I will see you in the next one.